Kenya will not feature in the Morocco 2022 Africa Women's Cup of Nations after the Harambee Starlets were withdrawn from the final qualifier against Uganda via a letter written to CAF by the former CEO of Football Kenya Federation. Starlets players later appealed to the Court of Arbitration for Sports, and although they won the case, it was not enough to compel CAF to reinstate them to the competition. CGTN's Daniel Arab Moy brings us more.
The Kenya Harambee Starlets were in camp preparing to face cross-border rivals Uganda Crested Cranes in the final round of qualifiers for the 2022 AFCON in January. But just before they were due to host Uganda in the first leg of their qualifier on the 17th of February, disaster struck. The Ugandan Federation announced on the 28th of January that the Confederation of African Football had written to them saying they had automatically qualified for the Morocco 2022 finals. It later transpired that the CEO of the disbanded Football Kenya Federation, Barry Otieno, had written to CAF informing them of the country's withdrawal, sparking outrage across the country.
So the only thing that they suggested is that Barry gets investigated by the DCI. But at the same time, once FIFA and CAF have locked you out, there's nothing much. Here in the country, he might be found guilty, but there's nothing much we can do because we are suspended from football because of government interference from a third party. And the third party they're talking about is when the government set an FKF caretaker committee.
In his letter, Otieno detailed how the elected national executive of the FKF was unable to plan for international matches after their office was disbanded by the government in November last year. Starlets players then launched an appeal against the withdrawal at the Court for Arbitration of Sports. In June, CAS ruled in favor of the players but dismissed their petition to have their abandoned qualifier against Ugandan side replayed, ending their hopes of featuring in a second AFCON since their debut in 2016.
So when they went to CAS, what happened is that, of course, it was ruled in their favor. But the CAS admitted they did not have the jurisdiction to ask CAF to replay those matches that we were supposed to play in February. Because at the same time, Harambee Starlets are losing out on both the African Women's Cup of Nations, which will also be serving as the World Cup qualifiers.
Going forward, there seems to be no light at the end of the tunnel for Kenya's football, with only one solution left.
Honestly, I am so sad for Kenyan football, and this is what so many people don't want to hear. At the end of the day, FIFA and CAF have, written rules. They are written rules. It's not just something that has happened in Kenya alone. We've seen so many nations out there who've, made the same move, and they were banned, they were suspended. We've seen that. So unless all the parties, I think, including the former office, they sit down, they talk, they discuss, then there's nothing meaningful that will come out of this.
With hopes of Starlets vying for a place in the 2023 FIFA World Cup buried by their AFCON miss, their plight highlights the adverse effects of the tussle for Kenyan football management that saw the country suspended from international football by FIFA in March. Daniel Arab Moy, CGTN.